I'm Chris.
Drew.
We are Cheap Ashes. Coming to you from our studio.
Yep.
Here at Yard Cigar Bar, Chandler, Arizona. On the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Eat too much?
No, not really. Honestly, just enough.
I did.
Yeah.
I had leftovers last night. Did a smoked turkey.
Nice.
And my boy Chris Noterpole did that for us. And dude, it was so good. I'm not quite sure what he used, but it was really good. Really nice, mild smoke flavor to it. So yeah, food. It's time of year.
Yeah.
Good luck losing weight like me. I need to drop about 20. Put it on. It's that old adage, fat and happy, baby.
Exactly.
So what are we drinking and smoking today?
Well, we'll start with the cigar here. So we're doing a little Camacho Ecuador, something a little different. We'll get into that a little bit here later.
Yeah.
What
do you got?
So we're doing, we talked about it before. This is the Dunkin Holiday Blend. Just regular hot coffee. Ready to give it a whirl and
see what happens. I have Belching Beaver's Fall of Troy. It is a vanilla milkshake, orange vanilla milkshake, double IPA. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, one IPA, yeah, people say that, but two flavored IPAs like this. This is a little bit different. It's a pretty interesting beer, to say the least.
Right.
You know,
it's been around for a while too. I remember
it's been around.
A while back, so.
It's their fall winter release.
Yeah.
It's seasonal, and it's got a badass. I mean, the can design is
Got a beaver in a hat or a helmet, whatever you call it.
a Spartan helmet.
Yeah.
You know, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I will say this: when Belching Beaver re-released or released into Arizona, probably 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
I was at one of the release parties at a local haunt, and the people that were there, some of them were the brewers, some of them were merchandisers, stuff like that. They were the coolest human beings I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever met anybody specifically from the brewery. They were giving away shirts because that's just what they were doing that night. And
Yeah.
I was quite large at the time, and they did not bring any 3X shirts to the bar. So they said, hey, you come into this bar lot? I said, yeah, we'll just leave you one with the bartender to keep here for you. Check back a couple of days, it'll be here.
Yeah.
Like, we have them at the hotel, we'll get it. So about 4 or 5 days later, I walk in there, there's 2 different t-shirts, 3Xs, with my name and a note on it, and it was like, all right, this is cool.
Nice.
These guys are really cool.
Right.
So I've been drinking their beer ever since, and they have great beer.
Yeah.
They are making fantastic beer out of, Northern California, aren't they? Or is it,
That's SoCal.
is it SoCal?
Yeah. San Diego area. I
San
believe.
Diego,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that
Oceanside, yeah.
Oceanside. So yeah.
I'm sure there's an Oceanside somewhere north, but
Yeah.
it's not in California.
Yeah. Who knows?
So,
Yeah, I mean, so
what do you think of that?
Really?
You know, I know you're an iced coffee guy. You really do. We were talking about it before we came on.
I mean, it doesn't have the flavors that they say come out like really in your face. They're very, very subtle. It does have some kind of slight molasses note to it, but I'm also bringing it hot, so it's hard to say. I did throw some ice in it to cool it down a little bit so that I'm not burning my mouth on camera here quick. But yeah, I mean, it's very subtle. There's not a lot of difference between the regular and this one.
So with most holiday blends,
Yeah.
there's that spice, that allspice, that clove. None of that in there, really.
So it's more of a molasses kind of like subtle fruit notes. When I say that, it doesn't come through a lot unless you're drinking one side by side. And
It's coffee.
yeah,
It's basically a drip coffee that they put a different name on.
tastes good. I mean, it tastes good. It doesn't taste bad. It doesn't have the bitterness. So that's I think that's really what it's kind of mellow as far as not a lot of bite to it, not a lot of backbite to it.
But and that's good that you said that, because there are a lot of those holiday blends, dark roasts that are just super bitter on the palate, and for that to not have it,
This
it's
is
still
like
got pretty strong though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this is like overall the opposite. Once again, and you can tell. I mean, it's Dunkin. We talked about that before. They make great coffee, so it's great coffee. It just isn't really much different than the regular coffee. And I'm sure if it was just like an ice blend, I wouldn't even be able to tell you the
You
difference.
wouldn't be able to tell the difference,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Because it's kind of a medium roast. I was looking at their little board.
Oh, we'll talk about that too when we get to this guy.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Speaking of medium roast, let's get into the cigar.
So, you look on Camacho boxes, and they always have the strength of tobacco indicator on the box, right? Davidoff is renowned for doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look it up on Cigars International or any of these online places, and they go green to the fuller side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Folks, don't be scared by what that says,
Yeah.
because this is on the milder side of medium.
Yeah.
And I like full cigars. We both like full cigars.
Yeah.
There's no way this is a full-bodied cigar.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because when you look at the overall blend component of it, you have Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, you have a Brazilian binder, and then your filler's a little bit on the mellower side. I mean, you got Honduran.
Dominican and Honduran.
Yeah.
It's
So it's
there's no full-body anything
yeah.
on this stick.
Straight medium.
It's a straight medium.
I mean, it'd be different if it was something else. I don't even know. I mean, at this
Mexican
point-
San Andreas.
Yeah, or something. Or like a full-on
A
Corojo,
Corojo.
which
They make.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this guy, now we're not knocking the cigar at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's a delicious,
Great cigar.
delicious stick.
Yeah.
It's just, you go in, you have to, this is where I think leaning on your brick and mortar and the people that are around cigars every day, smoking these cigars every day can help you out with.
Yeah.
This says full body, but if I were to pick this up and give it to a guy that's looking for a medium stick, he might say, oh man, I don't know, look at the box. I'm like, trust me, you can't always go by what the box says.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of goes opposite of what we were talking about last week. This has got that flash.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that crazy band. The box is a high gloss piano finish. Like,
Got the little traditional scorpion on there, if you can see it.
yeah, it's just a kind of nutso packaging. So it's like the opposite end of what we talked about last week.
That Nica Libre,
Yeah, which was
where
very,
it was just
very, very
bland and just
Yeah.
plain. This is, they're
Well, and the colors, yeah, they pop. You got red, you got yellow, you got
orange,
yeah.
black, and they're all lacquer finished. They're gorgeous boxes.
Right.
People that want to decorate with cigar boxes, look at the Camacho boxes.
Yeah.
Try and find those because they really are cool looking presentation across the board. And again, Davidoff has the money to do it.
Correct.
And that's why, Davidoff, their line of cigars starts at about 18 and just goes up from there.
Yeah.
Camachos, this was a $9 stick.
Yeah.
For the flash, for what you're getting presentation-wise, I could see them probably taking this to 12 or 13 and nobody complained.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They kept it. The Camacho, their core line's right at that
They started.
9 to
They started like $8 to go up to 13,
11,
13
12.
depending on
The triple Madero's like 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be your all black packaging on that one. But it's interesting too for anybody who smoked the old school Camachos from back in the day. This is one of the newer blends that came out after Davidoff bought the company. So it's something a little different.
Has nothing to do with Christian anymore whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got Euro tobacco in it. The Honduran tobacco that they're using in the filler for this is going to be from their oil farms, but at the same time, it's really not anything like it used to be.
No.
Whatsoever.
We talked about that Camacho back in the day when it first started was like a powerhouse.
Well, and they were using the authentic Corojo straight from Cuba.
Right.
in Honduras. Like Honduras, they went up in the valley and in the mountains, and this whole great story. And it's this awesome story.
It's a great story.
And the family is a great family, and they've been making cigars. You know, the father's still making cigars.
Well, his brother's making Aladino.
Yeah, and his father's still part of that. Like,
yeah.
It's like this whole family thing. They're still growing the tobacco. They're still growing a lot of tobacco for Davidoff and Camacho. They just sell it to them now versus, just making their cigars with it. But at the same time, I think it goes to say as well, that's why a lot of these change for you. So for you guys who smoked Camachos throughout time, I mean, if you're growing the best tobacco and you can make the best cigars with that tobacco, are you going to sell that tobacco to somebody else? So you're going to keep it for yourself, and you're going to make great cigars. Again,
let's look at a couple of cigar families that have been around forever. The Fuentes, okay, and the Padron.
Yeah.
Right? The consistency with their cigars is because their farms are their farms for their cigars.
Correct.
For their core line, for their specialty line. They don't outsource their tobacco. I'm sure they do somewhat, but you're not getting their premium tobacco.
Right.
It's staying in-house. Yeah. And, Nick Perdomo does the same thing with his line of cigars. So you see that happening. A lot of these cigar companies, they have a name on it, but as we know, there's other people rolling for them. There's other people growing for them. Yeah. There's other people blending for them to make it happen. I mean, Rocky Patel is a complete and total, example of that. He gets his tobacco from just about anybody that will sell it to him, won't it?
Well, that was the thing. Originally, it started that way. It was a big part of Placencia. Placencia was making pretty much all the Rocky Patels back in the day, and now
Rocky's pretty much self-sufficient.
Rocky has has factories now. He makes cigars for other people now. He makes cigars for Placencia now. Placencia grows with tobacco. Now he's making their cigars. So I mean,
it comes full circle too. Yeah. But it's when you look at why blends change,
and tobacco changes.
Tobacco changes too. Weather has a big part of it.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with wine, coffee. Look at all the different things. Like
beer.
Wine and beer and the different components. You can only grow that so much before it changes.
Well, grape varietals will change year to year. That's why they have different vintage years on wine bottles. Yeah. It's the same thing with cigars. I could have smoked this cigar, 4 years ago, and today, and been like, oh wow, that's changed a little bit.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. A lot of the bigger companies, especially that have the surplus of tobacco, what they'll do is they'll take a little bit from each year, and kind of you won't notice the change over the years, instead of it just being like a vintage where like this year and then next year it tastes completely different. They try to so over the course of 10 years it's different from there to there, but throughout that you're smoking it from year to year. You might notice subtle changes if you're really paying that much attention. Otherwise it just tastes great.
Most people don't pay that much attention to it. I know I really kind of don't.
Yeah.
I just grab a stick that I know I like and I'm going to smoke it.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you notice you don't like it anymore. And you're just like,
why don't I like this anymore? Yeah. How many times have we done that?
Yeah. Especially a lot of the ones we smoked, 10, 12 years ago.
Right. And you grab it, you expect it to be what it was, and it no longer is.
And then vice versa. There would be cigars that we didn't like 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden it's really good. Mm-hmm. And it could actually be, anything. It could be one component of the cigar that they changed, and that completely made the blend.
It could also be your palate changing and evolving into a tobacco that you
weren't what is going to happen.
You just didn't. It didn't taste good.
Right.
And over the years you just keep smoking. Mm-hmm. Your palate evolves to that blend of tobacco.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's an experience throughout life.
It really it's an evolutionary process that we go through.
Yeah.
As humans. Yeah. We've evolved into pretty good guys.
Yeah.
We didn't always start off that way.
Yeah.
Well,
life happens.
My sisters will tell you that. But, holiday season's upon us. Again, we had a great Thanksgiving. I think everybody that I've talked to, this was a really good Thanksgiving to kick off the holiday season. A lot of super chill stuff.
Yeah, very chill. And I think, as we all know, over the last couple of years, it's been a little rough. So, it's been one of those things that I think this year it's showing that we're all coming together. And it's why argue over stupid bullshit when we can just sit back and enjoy?
It's speaking of stupid bullshit, I'm going to be arguing a lot today because the game comes on. We're filming this on a Saturday, so it comes on today at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which, those of you that aren't familiar, it's Shittigan, that school up north in part of the country, against the Ohio State. So if you don't know what fan I am, you do now.
By the time you're watching this, the game will already be over. So.
And hopefully the Buckeyes can come out on top. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, if it's anything like the game last week, we'll see what happens.
49-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
Yeeks. Okay. Last call.
Yeah. Well, I've been smoking this since it came out. There's also a box press version, if you see that.
I don't know that I'd like the box press version of this. And I'm a box press guy, but I think this blend in the round works.
Yeah. So
I'll smoke this again. This was actually my first time smoking this.
Nice.
So it's kind of nice to finally get into something in our humidor that I haven't smoked.
Right.
And I'm glad I did, because if I didn't smoke this, I would have probably said something to somebody and given them wrong information about the strength and blend on this. So I'm glad I smoked it to be able to give an accurate description of the cigar. And that's, again, guys, smoke. Don't rely on, take the advice of people, but smoke it.
Yeah,
try it.
You never know. It might be your favorite cigar, and somebody told you that it was total trash, and you never smoke it. And then, once you smoke it, you're like, why didn't I smoke this before?
Exactly. Again, everybody's tastes are different. Try it yourself. I always preface stuff by saying, hey, that's not my cup of tea, but based on what you smoke, you probably like this.
Yep.
I'm not going to force something on somebody just to make the sale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So rely on your brick and mortar people, do your research. Look at the comments on what people have smoked.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you. They'll be like, yeah, that wasn't as full as it made itself out to be.
Right.
So. The beer. This is a very, weird, I guess is a way I would say it. It's a weird taste.
Yeah.
Not used to having orange vanilla in a double IPA.
Right.
It's weird and it works. Mm-hmm. And so yes, I will probably drink this again before it disappears. We only got a case, I think, for 1 or 2 cases. You don't get allocated very much. It's a very special beer. It's one of those ones that they only come out with in the winter. So give it a try. If you're, even if you're not an IPA person, I've had a couple non-IPA drinkers try it and actually like it because it doesn't have the bite and the bitterness of the hops.
The vanilla kind of mellows it out a little
That
bit.
vanilla, and the orange kind of kills the hops anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, give it a try.
And then as far as this goes, if you go to Dunkin, just get whatever you want, honestly. Try it if you want a medium roast coffee. I take it or leave it. I don't really care. Either way, it's coffee. So, on that note.
Yeah. Hey, like, subscribe, smash the bell.
Yeah.
Follow us on
Instagram, cheap_ashes, and we will see you guys
See you next week.